as well. That's on remote. So we'll spend the next 1 hour or less to talk about ABB in food and beverage. So it will be Morten with my colleague and myself. We are the most western office in Denmark and the most eastern office in Denmark. So a few words about the ABB in Denmark. I don't know if have you seen the previous one? Could you join that? Okay. ABB, there's no ABB representative here in Iceland, so that's taken care of by Wanning, and we've taken care of Wanning from Denmark, so that's why we have. We're a little bit less than 500 employees in Denmark. We're located in 5 offices. Aalborg is one up here, where Morten is from. And then Scotland is in the Copenhagen area, and then it's more or less on a line from east to west. We have an office here in Odense, one in Fredericia, and one in Esbjerg. And Esbjerg take care of all the offshore activities in the North Sea from oil and gas. We have a very high focus on safety and customer experience. We work in different areas. So we have the product with the most we do. We do systems. And then we have service and software. This one is almost 60%, and this one is 25 more or less, and the rest is by services and software. Hey. Hi.
Yeah, it's good that you're
English, sorry? Are we not Icelandic?
I think the people is waiting outside.
They're waiting outside? But it's 11 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Should they? Okay.
I didn't know you were there.
Aha! Okay.
Okay. I'll give it. Yeah. Okay. I'll give it. So we got it.
And we work in these 3 main areas: in the utilities, which more like 1/3, in industry, that's a little bit more than 1/3, and transportation and infrastructure. And for food and beverage, it's primarily in the industry segment. And we're all over the world. So it's more or less the Middle East, East and Africa, Asia and Africa is 1/3, North and South is another 1/3, and Europe is another 1/3. So we have a lot of colleagues. Actually, this number is not correct anymore because we acquired a company 2 months ago, so it's 145 now. So we have to be very careful when we send you all in the mail. I tried it once, and I don't know how many thousands I got on holiday or whatever. So don't do that. And we represent in around 100 countries around the globe. If we look at what we're serving, we do a lot in buildings, a lot of building automation, in transport and infrastructure, the charger stuff for the one that we had in the room before, short ship. In industry, we do almost anything in the industry, and in the energy supply and transportation of energy, storage of energy, creation of energy. So that's more or less what we do. Anything that has anything to do with automation or power, that's basically what we do. So, looking for food and beverage. What we do at our solutions, and basically in food and beverage, we have both solutions and we have specific products. And Morten will come back to some of the products we have in the product line specifically for food. So basically, it's what we work on is improved food and employee safety, product quality, to help you lower your TCO, and we address the industry trends now and in the future. That's basically how we work in this area. Actually, it's the same way we work in most of the areas we work in. So if we look at what we deliver, then this one should be like a typical industry, in this case, food industry. So it's everything from generation of energy, from wind turbines up here, or solar panels up here, to how you distribute your energy down here, how you operate your plant in the operator room in here. If you have robots in your Helsinki line, for example, process control for whatever process you might run, no matter what, then we can help, and we have products and solutions for all of this. That's how we look at the big picture. And another way of looking at it is how you run all these different parts of your factory. Now we're going more into the automation part. So we have all these different, what we call islands of automation. It depends on, it's very integrated, and some it is not that integrated. So basically what we do on top of all this, we put in what we call MES systems, that's software systems to keep track on all your production. And typically to improve quality and reduce waste, to have full traceability in food is very important. To have traceability of what you produce. So it reduces the inventory cost and increase the asset utilization to get more through your factory. So all this is addressed in the system we call MES. Basically, it is a production system to run the factory. This one is more a picture of the individual products we deliver. So it could be anything from picking and packing and palletizing, typically some robots. From a control point of view, we have the control system to control your plant, which is fully automated. PLCs in many different shapes, sizes, and colors. The reason why these guys are yellow is the safety PLCs, so you can use it for safety systems as well. We might have all the electrical installations and distribution of the electricity. We do have a specific instrumentation program that has these hygienic master called. So everything is stainless, so it's specifically for the food industry as well. And then power distribution, and up here we have the mechanical, the bearings and the motors, and one will talk more about this area in the end. So that's kind of the palette that we can deliver in this area. Any questions? Please raise your hand or something. Otherwise, I will talk forever. So please interrupt if you have any questions. This one is a kind of new one. We have actually had a copy here. So this one is what we call a smart sensor that you have the ability to put on a motor. It has a special way of connecting. It's very easy to connect to an old motor, new motor, it doesn't matter. It's wireless, so it starts measuring the vibration of the motor, and it measures the current consumption, and measures the temperature. And then you get a lot of analysis inside this guy itself, and you can use your cell phone to get a traffic light, green, yellow, red, if the motor is okay. And when you connect it to immediately when you have your phone close to it, it will take the data and send it to a cloud service as well, and then you can do more analysis there. So it's a fairly cheap way of doing energy control of your motors, or check the bearings. You can get a lot of info out of this guy. And again, it's wireless. It has a battery included. It will last for 3-4 years, and then you replace it. So that's the newest one. It's on the market right now, and it's actually ordered. You can order it now. We already have a lot of customers that start using it because it tells a lot about your production. If you have whatever on the end of the motor, it will actually tell a little bit about that as well. So if the current increase, for example, then that's some problem. So you can see the life length and get prediction when you need to service your motor or switch the motor to another. So a cool little thing. And what is it cost? List price is 1,500 Danish, so it's not a fortune. I don't know what to multiply by 17 or 100 to get to Icelandic. I think it's 17. Yeah. Sorry? Yes, 200 euro. Yeah. Actually, a little bit less. Yeah. That's this price. It's only if you buy this one, you have to pay me 200 euro right now. Then you can get it.
Can you move it from motor to motor?
Yeah, but the intention is that you put it on the motor because it will measure all the time. So it has to be close to the motor, and then it will do analysis all the time. And then when you get with your phone, you will get the analysis from last time you was there. So the intention is to keep it on the motor. But then, of course, if you want to measure 10 motors for a period, and then 10 others in another period, then you can remove it.
You can't put it on the motor.
Yeah. Basically, what you do is that when you put it on the motor, if it's an ABB motor, we already have a lot of profiles that you say, okay, I put it on this one, and this is the profile for the motor, and then the analysis will use the profile to do the right analysis. And then if it's not an ABB motor, so we don't have a profile, you have to create a profile. And that's I don't know, there's a lot of parameters you have to try in. So if you bring it from one type of motor to another one, you need to put in a new a new profile in order to do the right analysis. But I mean, it's so cheap, so it's probably not worth the effort to do it. Okay. This one is more about how to run your plant, where we have this software to connect all these different parts of the factory, from warehouse, we normally call it from bay to bay, so you get the raw material and you have your product in the end. Then you use this MES to synchronize all this different stuff, and it's interfacing to all these different subsystems. It might be a warehouse system, it might be scales, it might be a PLC SCADA system, or you have a historian, and you might have a LIMS system or quality management system. And in order to do a production flow to all this, you need some kind of tool to connect all these individual software together. And that's basically what we deliver in this MES system. You connect to the ERP where you're planning the production, and then you execute the production using the software. And the reason why it's a really good idea to do this in food is that you get full traceability. When have you done what to the product? So that's a crucial part. And you could do, we have a module in here called OE, called overall machine effect. Overall effectiveness it's called. So you can measure if you utilize your machinery enough to get a lot of info back. And that's all part of the MES. We install it in all our motor factories. We have this system installed, and we have a few installations in food as well. There's one in Switzerland where they produce chocolate powder. And we have a similar system on a Danish slaughterhouse, actually the biggest one in Europe. We have a similar system installed. Actually, they produce, I think it's 85,000 pigs per week. They actually slaughter on this one. And then they do 200 registrations per pig in order to do traceability. So it's a lot of data and a lot of pigs actually. Sometimes when they have, I'm not kidding, when they have problems at the slaughterhouse, you can see that on the highway, which is very, very close to the slaughterhouse, actually the trucks just started piling up. Because 85,000 pigs is a hell of a lot of trucks getting in and out. Okay, that was a side story. This one is another way of showing it. So again, it's a lot of different subsystems that connected into one. So you have a full production flow of your factory. So it can there's a lot of weight spent, and it depends on the industry. So normally you have these weighing depends where you have to manually add something to your product. You might have the inventory, you might have the warehouse. It could be in here to see the OE that shows you the effectiveness right now in the complete line or on a special machine. So it could be per machine or per line or per factory. So a lot of software to connect all this together. To control, this one is another system that's very for typically the dairy industry, where you have a lot of fluid running through a lot of tanks. And then if you do that, you have these what we call valve matrix. So in order to get a route from this tank to this one, can actually be a little bit complicated. You might run a cleaning on this one to this one, and then you don't want to mix the cleaning and the product. So this one is actually fairly complex. It looks very simple, but it's actually very complex. So we have some software packets on the automation level to take care of the routing between all these. So you get the optimal routing, and you're sure that you never run your product on an uncleaned pipe, for example. Then it will automatically say, okay, you need to do a cleaning before you can run your product. But again, it's typical in dairies or other industries where they have some fluid. This one is our system for controlling the plant. So we have a fully automated plant. It's called Ability 800XA. And then you can run what we call the batch management. Basically, is to run the individual batches in your factory. And then it will automate all the equipment, open all the motors, valves, stirrers, whatever. And it's controlled by what we call a batch manager. And again, for traceability, so you have a full picture of what was done when. And if there's any operator interactions, it's logged in the database as well. you get a food picture. So, for example, in pharmaceutical, they have these from the U.S. agency called FDA. It's called Food and Drug Agency. There's pretty strong rules on what you have to do, especially in pharma. But we see it more like in food as well, and it's called FDA, Food and Drug. So more and more regulations are coming to the food industry, and we're trying to cope with these regulations in this automation system. So this one is another way to look at it. This one is a fully automated system. So we do have the workplaces where the operator controls the plant. Then we have all the controllers. We might have connection to all different equipment down here. It could be power automation. It could be anything, and it could be down to the flow meters and so on. We might include safety if it's a critical operation, and we might have PLCs connecting to the robots. So everything is integrated into one system and controlled by one system. That's on the automation level. And then the next level is the MES level, as I had in previous slides, how to control your production. So this one is to control your process, and the MES system is to control your production. Sometimes it's called vertical integration, or horizontal integration is the process, and vertical is how we run the plant. Excuse me. This one is another one where we use our robots to use for picketing and palleting. And then there's some specific software to control the robots. But again, the robots can be integrated to the rest, so you have a fully automated system. Okay, any questions from our system side? It might pop up. Otherwise, we will ship. We need to have this one because we have some burning removal as well.
Yeah, we have chosen 3 kind of products just to show for the food and beverage. We have chosen a specific stainless steel motor and some bearings, which have some great features for the food and beverage, and a gearbox, which is also a stainless steel gearbox. Why do you need to choose a wash down or a stainless steel motor? We have it's not that new, but but this year ABB developed a new IE3 wash down stainless steel gear motor, IP 69K, which means that you are allowed to, as you see up there, excuse me, with high pressure to clean it. When we go further, you see why you are allowed to that. It's because of how we built the motor, and actually also with hot water. So it's quite nice. We have actually a few places in Denmark where we have this motor running, and they are very satisfied with especially the surface, how smooth it is, how easy it is to clean. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons why to choose a stainless steel motor to a production in the food and beverage industry. We have, as Per mentioned, the food safety is very important for all the products, and of course for the people who own the production. So therefore, it's very important for us to develop the products which pretty much align with all the regulations and the things that are in the food industry. Actually, I know in Iceland the energy is cheap, very cheap, but in the rest of Europe they are quite interesting in this one, in IE5. Right now we have it in IE3. We have of course the wash down with high hygienic food zone, and we have another one here. We also sell for the food and beverage industry in Denmark. This is a non-paint motor with a coating. Some places you may know, but it's not necessarily a stainless steel motor. You still have the benefits of a ventilated or a normal standard motor, which can be in some places very interesting to just have a non-painted motor, but still meets the regulations. And of course we have the standard motor serial. Here you have the reason why we developed a brand new stainless steel motor was we are one of, especially winding, it's encapsulated winding. You see, the winding encapsulated, so if it gets water inside the motor, you're actually able to still run the motor. Because of the motor is also designed with drain holes. But of course there should not be water in the motor, but yeah, the maintenance it's very important to the overtime. The production manager wants to it's easy to maintain the motor if something should damage the motor. So it's a very important thing, and the sealing part here to keep the water out, or to keep the wear out of the motor. It's also quite a good solution we have here. And of course, the grease inside the bearings is for the food and beverage, and that's standard for the stainless steel motors. We have it actually in the end of this year. We have it from, as you see here, on stock in Minden, Germany. We have it in all kind of buildings, B14, B5, B3. Hertz, it's the same. Ambient temperature. And it's IE3. All the motors is IE3. No one of them is lower than IE3. The IE5 will come later next year, actually. And it's IP69K, which is a great benefit in the food and beverage. So that's actually how the motor is built. And one of the things we have some customers who's actually saying some very positive things about how to mount the leaders in the terminal box. That's also a quite good solution for this motor. So it's easy to install. It's have a high efficiency, and it is with grease that are allowed to use in the food and beverage industry as a standard. So, and it's of course, if some of you export the motors, it's have all the certification. It's also for the US market. If some of you export for the US market, it's have a UL certification and the ISA certification. And that's actually one of the main reasons why we have made an IE3 motor. It's because of the regulations all over the world. So you actually are able to deliver this motor from whatever, which country you know. Yeah, so that's actually what I just told you. But he has highlighted what the main reasons why you need to choose a stainless steel motor. But I'll say that the three things I mentioned before, that's the main reason. See, again, you can also actually here he says that it's without any ventilator. You can also have it with a ventilator if that's necessary, if you want that. But I believe in dairy, in slaughtery, anywhere, they prefer without ventilation. And one of the reasons why we develop an I3 and actually also an I5, that's because of the lower surface temperature. When you have, we have a slaughtery. Pierre mentioned the big slaughtery in Horsens, in the south part of Denmark. We also have a Germany-owned slaughtery where I live, up north, and they also slaughter pigs, a hell of a lot of pigs here. And for one of the lines where they removing the hair from the skin, they have I believe it's more or less hundreds motors on each side. It says 200 motors, stainless steel, our stainless steel motor with our stainless steel gearboxes, and they are very impressed of how easy it is to clean it because of the low surface temperature. Otherwise, for a stainless steel material, it's very tough to remove things if it burns down, if it burns to the metal. So that's one of the main reasons why to have such low temperature to the surface. And that's the main reason why it's I3 and I5. Then you keep down the temperature inside the motor, and therefore you have a lower surface temperature outside the motor. So that's a good thing to remember when you choose an stainless steel motor.
How low is the temperature on the surface?
Actually, it depends which kind of application you have, how much water they actually use at the application. So it's better to measure the temperature. But of course, if you run it for normal, and I have some data on it. I can't remember right now how high it is, but it is quite low compared to our competitors.
The cost?
How much it will cost?
Compared to normal?
To normal motor? Oh, that's a good question. It is, of course, more expensive than but I'll say double up the price as a normal motor. Maybe a little bit more, but it's, yeah. But I'll say that the people I do business with in Denmark doesn't.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't.
Pitch back, but the petrol.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get an idea.
Yeah. But I'll say double up as a normal motor.
Not so much.
Yeah, I mentioned the Qantas gearbox. Also, it is a little bit bigger than the competitors. That's also because of the temperature and how to remove the temperature from the gearbox. So the maintenance is in minimum. So therefore, the gearbox, the stainless steel gearbox, is a little bit bigger to the competitors, but it's much more stronger actually. We have made some tests, a few places in Denmark where we compete against SCW, and this gearbox from SCW is, if you remove the clock tube where you mount the motor, that's actually how big the gearbox from SCW is. But again, it's to keep the surface temperature down. That's very important in the food and beverage industry, because of the heat in stainless steel will build up and build up and build up. It'll get very hot, the surface temperature, when you run a stainless steel motor or a stainless steel gearbox. So that's I think that's also actually I think that's also a great reason to build a little bit bigger gearbox. Of course, when you need to replace it, it can be quite a big challenge sometimes. But when you redesign or design a new one, just make sure you have all that kind of things in your mind when you design it, because stainless steel is very rough to deal with when you're talking about the temperature. Compared to aluminium or compared to cast iron, which is much easier to remove the heat from. And of course, this sealing is also quite good. It's quite good to keep the wear, to keep out the wear actually. And another thing I'll mention is how you mount it and demount it. I'm used to work in a workshop for 12 years, so I know pretty much how to demount and mount a motor. The way they do it, it has a bushing system inside this clock, and this one is how you go through and to screw and to tighten the bushing system, and that's quite nice. And it's very easy to demount and make the maintenance on those gearboxes there, because one of the biggest issue when you have a normal gearbox with a hollow shaft in a gearbox, it is sometimes very tough to remove the motor if that's the problem in the maintenance. But yeah, it's a quite good gearbox, and it's strong. It's definitely strong. Just to show you, we have of course the stainless steel series. We have also this one, the EC Clean, we call it. That's also a coating, and it is for the food and beverage industry, but not the critical types. This is definitely the critical, and then we have our standard series. Of course, all the things are made in the US. It's called Dutch mechanical components. And the last product I'll tell a little bit about it's the Dutch bearings. It's the EC Clean. I've just shown this picture, but you can have it in whatever, in any kind of mounting arrangement. A flange with 4 holes, 2 holes, any kind. This is just a picture to show what's the feature with this product. It's polymer. We also have it in stainless steel, but actually the customers in Denmark, or I mean all over Europe, prefer polymer, which have great benefits because of it's easy to clean. And of course there's stainless steel bolts, and this one is actually one of the main reasons why to choose a Dutch bearing or mounted bearing. It's the gauge here. It's a quite unique system to keep the grease inside the balls when it's running, and it does have a patent on this system, and it of course keeps the friction down and keep the heat away because of the film you have on the balls all the time because of this gauge system. And the last thing I'll mention is the triple seal is also a patented solution from Dutch, of course, to keep the water and all the wear outside the bearings. It is a quite good product. I would actually say it's those two things is the main reason why to choose it. It is a little bit more expensive than if you have a standard stainless steel or standard normal bearing mounted bearings, but I believe you will imagine when you mount it, those two things here will keep you running a lot more. The maintenance is it's quite easy and quite nice. And this model is shown with the panel screw. They also have a system where you have a grip type model. And the grip type model, I believe I have a picture a little bit later. Okay. But the grip type model is also a bushing system. The American people are comparing a lot about how to demount and mount because of the maintenance. It needs to be easy to demount and mount. And the grip type model is it's simple and it works. Instead of this, when you have mounted this for once, sometimes you need to cut off the shaft and put a new shaft in the machine. This one, it's the grip type model. You don't need that. It's quite easy to demount, even if it's had run for many years. And the coating over here, they have a special coating, but I believe all the bearings makers have a coating, but they have a coating instead of the standard coating for the stainless steel part. They have a special coating for keep away the rust and the dust for these specific products. And the last thing I'll mention about this product is the housing. A lot of our competitors are actually do this housing, this design, but it's solid. It has a solid surface. Yeah, so that's also a quite good reason to choose this product in the food beverage industry, where the cleaning is a big issue. Any question? That's silence, so which means.
Was asking him if this was service.
I actually just ordered two assembled for putting, so they have one here you can come and see.
But the already, but ordered and everything, this is documented, is it right?
Yeah, we have a quite big document.
And
This
the
product.
Germany represent large European stock for ABB.
Yeah, as I said before, we have it in all kind of mounting arrangement. This is just a normal standard 2-hole, pillow hold, mounted bearing, but you have it in for sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Any kind of mounting arrangement. So, and this is just to show that they have all kind of bearings, also normal bearing, non-wash down for standard application, but that's not what we're talking about today. So those two, I'll say that's interesting for the food and beverage industry. And this company Dutch have made this for, I believe, I can't remember how many years. It's a quite old company and a quite big company. And it is the biggest in US and in Canada on the bearings. And the last, I would say, ABB is a trusted brand. So of course, and we are a leading provider in digitalization, automation, and robotics. And of course, we constantly investigate and invest in new technologies. And a driving force in the industrial revolution with over 14 years experience. So, Larsen, if you have any question, feel free. With help. Any question? I just choose those 3 products because that's mainly for the food and beverages. I know for sure we have, frequency converters, standard motors. Yeah. We have, as Pierre mentioned and showed you before, the whole package for you.
In the meantime, I was actually trying to connect this one, but it disallowed me to connect it because it's not mounted to a motor. So actually, it has to be active when you pair it with the phone. There's a QR code here. So when you put it on, you take a picture of this one, and then it will be guided through how you register. But it has to be on the motor before you do it. I tried to do it here, but it didn't work.
How does it work?
Sorry?
How does it work? Does it connect to the motor?
Yeah, actually what you do is that you put a piece of iron in one of the ribs on the motor.
Yeah.
Then you use this Loctite artificial velvet, it's called, and basically you lock it with that one, and then you have a knot, then you screw it on here with the two.
Is it sensing vibrations?
Yes.
Vibrations, current,
A few.
temperature,
Yeah.
and then it does the analysis. So you can say.
This one's running. Oh,
And you can see from the analysis of the vibrations, you can see if it's, which one of the bearings are getting older.
Okay.
If the fan is dirty, all that is done by the analysis of the vibrations, and you will see it on the phone. That's why I tried to connect it. Yeah, and you will see it immediately. If it's yellow, it's because then you're getting closer to some problem. So the key point is that there's no wiring, so you just clamp it on. Because we have, for other motors, especially larger motors, we have a lot of vibration equipment already, but it has to be wired.
So we are constantly going over the plant and with the vibration.
Yeah,
for the pumps and
Yeah.
motors.
And that's exactly what this one should avoid. Right now you have to use your cell phone in order to get the data and get it to the cloud system where you can actually monitor it from the outside. But we'll soon release what we call a gateway. So if you have a lot of motors in a secluded space, then you have a gateway and it will connect to the cloud.
Yeah.
This one is running Bluetooth. So it's around 10 meters, you have to be close to it. So right now you still have to do your rounds in order to get the data.
Yeah, of course.
But basically you just walk by and then you get all the data.
Do you have something similar with for pumps years?
No, we have a cooperation with a Danish company who do pumps, and he will try to create a profile that basically is the motor and the pump. So we have some partners that are working on that. Because then you do a lot of the vibration check on the motor, which actually tell a lot about what it's actually driving.
Yes.
That's what they will try to do. So it's a cool product and completely new.
Especially the vibration is good to know.
Yeah.
Because if you have anything on the shaft, sometimes it's not the motor that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's actually
It can also be the product that they're pumping
or how
use of anything.
a loose foot on the motor. It's and vibration in other places on the machine could affect it as well. Yeah. So, but always the motor where it stops and ends, especially in the inside, in the inside of the bearings. So it's typical when you have some vibration somewhere in the machine. This one can affect that you'll get stopped a little bit earlier and make the maintenance and actually find the problem.
Yeah, we're also finding motors, custom motors go out, and we never know why.
Yeah.
And something happens. It would be good to have some data.
Okay. And this little thing, I talked to an engineer, one of my customers, who told me that's quite interesting because he knows for sure that a lot of the motors on the machines they are building, they're building some mills for the also for the food and beverage industry, and he believes that a lot of the motors are actually too big, so to get more competitive, they actually would want to buy this and put it on the motor and measure the energy consumption for a while to see how much energy do this motor actually use for 100% load. So yeah, you can use it, as you said, you also can move it to another motor, and then of course you need to make a profile as you mentioned, new profile. Yeah, you can use it. Yeah, it's only your imagination.
If it's only 200 euros.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, this one it will get cheaper.
Yeah, definitely.
It will get cheaper. No doubt about that. It will get cheaper. And I believe, but I can't remember when the new releases are on those things. But there will always be new releases and new things you can do with it. And as Per mentioned, 5 years. The batteries live for 5 years. I already heard that the vibration it gets actually are able to deliver the vibration for the battery. Or the magnet field you have around the motor.
We do that in some of the instrumentation, for example, flow meters. That we use the vibration to harvest the energy, so you don't need to. And then it's wireless as well. So that because it's more power, this one doesn't consume a lot of power. But if we have to add normal Wi-Fi, for example, in order to get more data out of it, we need more power. And that's why we use this called BLE, the low power Bluetooth. Because then the battery will last longer.
And I think it's next year where you can order a new motor with this.
Yeah, we're mounted already.
Mounted already from the production.
Yeah.
We'll never have that many questions that we have regarding this one.
Oh.
It's actually very interesting for a bunch of people. We had the production manager from the Volkswagen factory in Germany, who's responsible for all the factories, all the maintenance on the factories. I believe he told me that he has 255,000 motors running all over the world. So he was very interested in this little thing.
I guess people get a bit discount when you buy 250,000.
I mean, it'll get cheaper. It'll get cheaper.
Can you see the code? Can you see the code on the motor?
Please.
The
Correct.
current
Yeah.
on all places.
Yes.
And you can lock it.
Yes,
How
you
many
will see the
times
balance.
have
You will see
minutes or-
you will see the balance between the places.
Okay.
And that was what.
You're locking the current.
Yeah, that's why I tried to get the app running.
How many times on the minute you lock the current?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know how frequent it is. I know it collects hell of a lot of data because it's doing analysis on this unit itself. So it's sampling fairly
Can you
often.
see the stuff current or just the normal current?
We need to get into more of the details, and we can supply that. But it's primarily vibration,
Okay.
primarily. But it measures the current as well. If you need a very, very precise current measurement, we have some other tools. Actually, it's described in this magazine. This magazine on page this one. This one you can have measurements points in your power distribution unit without disconnecting anything. It has, I think it's 7 or 9 channels, so you can measure for the individual motors, so depending if how you distribute your power. And this one will give you a very, very precise measurement.
You know how much this is costing?
Sorry?
The power measurement?
The cost? I have to look it up. I don't have it, but it's very, very. We do have normal power meters, but this one is kind of a cheap one because it's only one module, and then it's 7. I think it's 7 or 9 of these measurement points. So it's much cheaper than a normal power meter. But I don't have the exact price.
Men har jag just frågat vad du sett det? Remake?
Ja.
Ja, det är remake.
Ja, man
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, lunch is approaching in 4 minutes. Do you notice there's one downstairs as well today? We noticed there's lunch downstairs, or it's just out. It's down in the cantina, or it's just out here. The lunch. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.